It went from we're gonna tickle this guy until he pisses his pants to dude, he's into really weird.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, no, and you can't. Like,
You can't replace that. Well,
yeah,
you know,
yikes.
AI's getting better. We can.
Oh.
Dime pieces, son. Like, hopefully, all 5 of those is ending up in.
No, not
5 tens, bro.
That's not
I'm
the
trying to
question.
get 50
on your body. Where are you putting the That might be the funniest answer we've heard. And welcome back to A Couple of Fellas. This time, one of the OG fellas, but we got a fella as a guest. Guest friend, introduce yourself. Or don't if you don't want to get doxxed. I mean, it's up to you.
What is that? Dox. No, I don't want to get doxxed, but I'm
That
Dylan.
sucker about a fist away from your mouth.
A fist
you know
away.
How Rogan says.
I'm Dylan. Dylan Crone.
Longtime
last
friend of one of the fellas, me, Zane. Steve the loser could not make it. That's all right. We first met with jiu-jitsu, and
Yes.
since then it's blossomed into a lovely friendship, bonding over psychology, podcasting, AV equipment, and jiu-jitsu, of course.
Absolutely.
How have you been? I haven't seen you in weeks, months. It's been a long time.
Yes. I've been good. I've been trying to stay busy, and I've been very busy with the AV setup and.
Yeah, man. You've been sending me videos of you shredding on guitar. It's so freaking cool. I love it.
I appreciate that. That's very generous.
I
I try.
I mean, personally, having no musical talent at all, it always amazes me, especially when it's like a close friend who is able to shred the way you do. Never stop.
Thank you, first of all. I never look at myself as if I know how to do it either, if that makes any sense. Like I don't look at myself like I can do anything special with
Healthy
an
learner's
instrument.
attitude.
You're
You're passing the masses for sure. I'm impressed.
I think it's time paying off with that.
How long have you been playing?
A long time, but I haven't been playing seriously. And actually, it's funny you say this because this week I've been learning 2 songs. One from Death, and it's Chuck Schuldiner was their guitar player. He passed away.
Death
But-
caught up to death?
Yes, he was an amazing talent. Who unfortunately he passed away with a brain tumor when he was like 30 something years old. He was really young.
Jeez.
But anyhow, he was extremely talented with a guitar, and the guy could write lyrics like nobody's business.
Can't say I'm familiar with the band, unfortunately, but it's something for me to check out at least.
And I don't mean this in a bad way, but like, cause I like a lot of like metal, but
I know you got the sick rash guards at jiu-jitsu.
the Slayer, everybody says something about that.
It's because it's sick. Everyone else is wearing whatever, Ronin branded or the Amazon Basics version of it.
It's actually a tatami rash guard.
There you go. But it's a sick one, and that makes all the difference. It's you and Adrian. You guys have the coolest outfits for sure.
Yeah, that guy's definitely got some rad gear.
Beetlejuice, I think, is the one, or Pennywise, something like that. He's got cool ones too.
Yeah, I just know that guy's an assassin.
Yeah. I mean, everyone is. Most white belts, and everything above that kills me. So
Yeah.
So one of the songs you've been learning is from Death. Rip Tommy Shoulderer.
Chuck Schuldiner.
Chuck Schuldiner.
Now,
Oh yeah, Tommy's the rash guard brand. Oops.
I went off on a tangent about that, but that was just to say this guy is very talented. And the other one I'm learning is Cowboys from Hell. And I thought I knew how to play that as a kid. You know what I mean? Like I was like, I learned this like cheat way to do it, where it's like an easy
Where it sounds
pattern.
close, but it's like not quite the correct way to do things.
Correct. Like it's
Gotcha.
It's like what I would classify myself for a long time. Like I didn't realize it, but I'm like the guy that plays guitar well enough that I can make other people that don't play guitar think I'm good.
Fooled me then.
But I don't do that. Like, I'm just playing guitar, but it's like I had to look at myself when I started learning these two songs because Cowboys from Hell from Pantera. You know Pantera?
Them I know. Yes.
Now, Dimebag Darrell, same kind of really sad story, so I won't get into.
I feel like sad story might be the end result for a lot of heavier metal musicians. It sounds like that's a theme, maybe.
Unfortunately, it's a
heavy life catches up to them.
Yeah. Well, that and just it's there's a lot of hardcore people that are into the music, and there's a lot of heavy subject matter in it and stuff like that, so that you catch a lot of like, even by accident, I would imagine you catch like some negative
Influences,
minded
maybe?
fans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People that are maybe into some dark stuff,
And yeah, I guess if that's not the necessarily crowd you hang around with, but if those are the influences and the people that are near you all of the time, to some amount, that kind of vibe or energy, I guess, could be shared or rub off.
But these two guys, just tragedies, really. It's not even like
I can't say
life
that.
catching up with them.
Can't say heavy metal was what gave him a brain tumor, of course.
Correct.
That's a tragic stroke of fate.
Right.
Not in line with, I guess, the trend that I was guessing at.
Now, we're getting way off track, but
it's a podcast. There is no track.
But
and by the way, we are well past a minute, so no worries if the
fucking A.
F-bombs
Awesome.
slip out.
No, as I'm learning these songs, man, these guys were so good that I'm going, oh shit, I don't know how to play guitar. Like, I really don't know how to play guitar, and I'm like,
there's levels, right?
now check this out. As I'm playing these, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go to like some really good people, because I know who like I really love like thrash metal. So I'm going to like Alex Skolnick first of all. He's like one of my favorites. He's from Testament. But he also played in like Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Holy crap, that's a crossover talent.
He's gnarly. He's so good with the guitar. Like, he's beyond talented. The guy's like but so I go to people like him because he's got plenty of videos on YouTube, and he's like a great teacher.
Don't you love that?
I do.
The 21st century, the digital age, YouTube in particular, it is so amazing the amount of expertise and knowledge at our fingertips. You can learn anything, like how to make a podcast, for example.
Correct, man.
Yeah, how to do literally anything. You can learn quantum physics on YouTube.
Dude, so many things, like how many episodes of Lex Friedman have I watched that I'm sitting there scratching my head like, did you see the one with Sam Harris?
It's downloaded on my phone, but I haven't listened to it yet.
That is some interesting conversation.
Lex is a talent for that. He's a true gem. If you have not, listeners out there, heard of Lex Friedman, Fridman, go check out his podcast, because I have yet to hear an episode that is not astounding in its depth and complexity and just intelligence. That man is an absolute hero. For sure. I'm with it. Yeah, you were sending me links recently
something
about why dentistry is the devil. I'm paraphrasing.
Yo, that was stuff I was watching with I think his name is Michael Mew, or
that sounds close. Michael's correct, at least.
I know it's Mew. I know.
Then
Mew
it's
is
Michael Mew.
last-
Between us, we can put that together.
I hope I'm right about that. But it was with Bert, or no.
You thinking Bert
Damn,
Kreischer?
I'm stupid.
Different level of brainwave than Lex, for sure, but also an interesting listen, for sure.
Brett
Weinstein?
Weinstein or Steen?
I forget. Wait, Harvey Weinstein, right?
That's
Brett
the way I
Weinstein.
remember it.
Brett Weinstein.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. You don't want to be disrespectful to that.
That dude's on another
family.
level, and his son,
Bro. Yeah. Zev
Weinstein.
That kid is like, I listened to him talk and I was like, oh man, I'm stupid. Like I felt like I felt like I had to go back to school. I was like, oh God, like
Yeah.
there's kids out there that would intellectually beat the living shit out of me.
He's a decade younger than me and easily twice the deep thinker. I don't know how you quantify deep
Oh,
thought,
man.
but it's amazing. There are some incredible people out there, and back to the point of YouTube and now podcasts and everything else, it's so great that we have the opportunity to hear them and learn from them.
If that's see, now I can't remember it. See, I feel like a giant asshole because I can't remember if that was Brett Weinstein or Eric. I can't remember.
Oh, which one's the dad?
Yeah, I can't remember.
I think Eric is the biologist and Brett is the father of Zev, I think. But I could also be backwards. I might be wrong.
Either way, that entire family is
Yes.
incredibly brilliant. That's all I'm trying to say. Nothing disrespectful.
Yeah, there's a special thread running through that family tree
Yeah.
without a doubt.
Yep.
Glad we have people like them working towards the good of humanity.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. The fact that I feel like those guys are genuinely like,
Keyed into trying to make a difference in a positive way.
yeah, they just seem like, yeah, that's, I can't say it any better than that. They seem as if they're trying to make a positive difference in the world instead of using that
Ability and platform and everything
that level
else.
of intelligence to push, whatever ideas they want out into the world. They're kind of, it seems like those kind of guys, like them and the Joe Rogans and the like Lex Friedmans and even like Sam Harris. I listen to Sam Harris speak, and it's like stuff a lot of this stuff I don't, even all these people, they talk about stuff that I don't understand, to be honest with you, but it's
That's
like
part of the fun of it, right?
yeah, it's that, like, I listen to people talk about physics and I'm like, I'll never get that. But I feel like that maybe those same people will hear me talk about music, and I've been so passionate about music since I was a kid, and I can talk about it for an hour and a half and just, that maybe it'll blow their mind.
That's the beauty of the diversity in people. Everyone knows something that you don't, and there's a damn good chance that you know something any given person you meet doesn't. And if we can approach people with an open mind and have open dialogues, then there's a beautiful opportunity to share those ideas and cross-pollinate this intellectual discourse.
Yes.
I love it, man. I see you flipping through the notes, and let me ramble on for a sec to buy you time to find your place in them. I love it because not only has no other guest who's ever been on this podcast brought notes or even really topics that they wanted to talk about. Generally, Steve and I don't have that much of a road plan. The closest we've ever come is bringing a list of would you rather questions. And that's not on the same tier.
I actually caught one of those, I think, yesterday. Because I subscribed to you guys' channel, and when I...
Aw, you sweetheart.
Yeah, it's good, though. It's like, it's not even just because you're my friend. It's because it's good. I actually like watching it. It's funny.
We're working on it. We'll get there one day.
I like it. I think it's good. I think it's funny.
Thank you.
But
I appreciate that.
But I actually like watching the whole dialogue. Like, dude, one of the things that actually made me think was you guys are talking about like an after school program, and me and my brother we went to one of those growing up all the time, and I just saw the way he looked at it. It was fucking hilarious to me because he was just like, oh, it wasn't because my parents were, and then he caught himself and he was just like, I was like, yo, it's because my mother was fucking, she was going to work. She was at work and fucking couldn't pick us up.
That's why they had those programs, but
Yeah.
I guess that's not why he was drawn to it. Yeah. He just wanted to go there and throw away his retainer.
That was hilarious, dude. But see,
So
that's
disgusting.
what I'm saying. I actually enjoy watching that show. It's funny. It's really funny.
Thank you. That does mean a lot.
And then I had a flashback when he started talking about people spilling milk in the trash first, because it's like I remember kids like just being drawn to that. Like
Everyone does.
you were a nerd if you didn't do that.
I must have been a nerd. I just finished my milk. What a loser.
See, I was the one that if I wanted to finish my milk, I
Save a few drops just to dump it out at the end.
I wasn't even doing it to be rebellious, dude. I was like a fucking I was just trying to draw in the trash. I was like, I don't know.
You're an artist.
I was a weird kid.
Yeah, an artist.
I guess, but it was like I'm trying to see what it looks funny to me when it swirls.
Yeah, right. When else do you get the chance to dump something out that's like a liquid and not get in trouble or make a huge mess in the trash. That's the one place you can, in the sink, in the trash.
I remember. Yeah, I could go on and on
Absolutely, if you want.
about school. School's funny.
I'd love it. School is funny. We had John, who ran around in a gorilla suit during middle school instead of taking his standardized tests. Steve, that wanted to stay there for hours so he could lose his retainer and hang out with people. I wasn't funny in school. I was a fucking loser, but it was fun.
I mean, I was too. I was funny, but I was also kind of a fucking. I was one of them kids that was just I was quiet, and then, you know, I actually was only in school for a short amount of time. I didn't go to high school. Not,
At all?
No, I got a GED when I was 16, but
ahead of the curve then. That's 2 years before everyone else is free.
That is the positive way to look at it.
Always a silver lining.
That's kind of how I looked at it. The reason I got it was because it was like, I was like, honestly, I don't think I need it, and I don't think I did, because it helped with certain things, like getting jobs very young. It helped with that, but I don't know. I didn't. It's not like I learned anything extra in there. It was a piece of paper that I could
show people,
and
get by, skip past.
And that's not to say an education's bad. I wish I stayed in school now, you know.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight always changes things, and grass is always greener. I definitely, as I guess maybe you're aware, love school and gravitate towards that for whatever reason. I'm willing to sign away all of my free time and income for years at a time because I guess I like it. But I definitely have evolved in my opinion of school. I used to think that it was, I bought in pretty heavily to the propaganda we were fed, where you gotta get good grades, you gotta go to college, like this is the path. If you're not doing this, it's not the right route. And that was definitely not true. And I've met a lot of people who stopped either during high school or even before high school and have, in completely unanticipated ways, found incredible paths through life and ways that fit them better. And honestly, it's not for everyone. And I used to think that you got to go to school, but it is not the case. Through high school, maybe there's a good enough argument to be made, at least because 18 is like a cutoff age to do a lot of stuff, and that in a productive way carries you up to that point. I guess high school through that is good, but certainly past that, I don't think that everyone should go to college. I don't think that it's the best course for everyone. I knew tons of people, like at UConn, for example, who were getting saddled with tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt to not be engaged in their courses, to not care about what they were learning still, and to then go on and not apply what they had pursued in college to, in any regard, the career that they followed thereafter. I think a lot of people, I mean, when you look at the trillions of student debt that we have in this country, I think a lot of people bought into the propaganda that is the only way to do things, and it is not, especially if you have a different idea for what you want from life or a different path that you have envisioned. I think that it's a much more open world for people who are willing to forge their own path and willing to, draw outside the lines, so to speak.
That is an interesting point, and I agree with you. But to add to it, I think because that's actually kind of what I'm going for is that, like, since I'm at where I'm at and I'm my age, I'm at a point where I just want to see where I can go and draw outside the lines a little bit and see if I can make my existence at least one that's self-sufficient.
I mean, certainly that is a path available.
Yeah, but I just want to be able to use creative
means.
Yeah, I want to be able to be creative, and I want to be able to use my creative. I have a creative mind. I just want to be able to use that to make cool shit for other people.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think that there's a class of people class is probably the wrong word. I don't think that there's a type of person that you hear about more shunning school or stepping away from school than creatives and artists. How many actors, how many musicians, how many literal artists, from graffiti to, I don't know, I doubt Rembrandt went through a formal education. I don't know at all, so don't call me on that. But there's a ton of famous master painters that
I don't know
definitely
anything
didn't.
about Artie. They don't feel bad.
Yeah, this is not a fact check type of podcast. But yeah, I mean, that is absolutely a way forward. I mean, wow, what the heck is his name? I'm blanking. David Cho, I think.
Yeah.
Was he very early quit school and then ended up as such a talented visual artist that he did a whole graffiti wall in the Google headquarters, got paid in stock, and is worth hundreds of millions now. And all that dude does is experiment with outside the line shit.
Right.
I remember when he was on Rogan, he was saying how for a podcast, he went in and just kind of like screamed and cried into a mic for 6 hours as an experimentalist.
I saw that.
Yeah. I mean, send it, dude. Do what draws you, find what gets you going. Absolutely. And I think, unfortunately, there is a real issue with the educational system that we have, at least in a lot of school districts, in that it literally snuffs out creativity.
I am so happy that you brought that back around to that, because
It's-
actually
yeah.
I said that I was going to add to that, and I just
Please
like
do.
quote unquote artist would. I just fucking talked about myself for 2 minutes instead of adding to your point. And I'll add to your point now. I think that instead of focusing on telling kids like you gotta do this and you gotta do that, like the bigger issue I think with school tends to be that people don't know what to do. They don't know like how to be, and instead of being creative, instead of getting to be creative, instead of using your mind and using what you have, they make you do other things. And then on top of that, you got kids that they're mean to each other and shit. You know what I mean? So you got other kids. Like when I remember growing up, I always loved sports and stuff, but I remember trying to play sports. And my mother, I grew up with a single mother. She didn't teach us how to play basketball and shit like that. We grew up in a crazy neighborhood and shit. So it's like you couldn't like find older males to help you with shit and like help you learn. There was nobody around to like help you learn how to play basketball and shit. If your dad and your mom didn't have the time or they didn't know how to play basketball, it wasn't like they were gonna find you somebody. And I couldn't, we couldn't afford to play. So it was just kind of like, I just remember trying to learn from other kids, and it was much harder for me to learn because I had to learn from other kids and they were shitty about it.
Other kids are dicks.
They're
yeah.
shitty about it. They're like, oh, you don't know how to play? Get the fuck out of here. Like, what are you doing here? Get off the court. You know, most kids. Some kids were cool about it. I ended up learning how to play a little bit, and I'm just not inclined to play those sports. You know what I mean? I don't think. But it's like anything else. You play for a little while and you fucking get good at it.
Yeah, I think in a lot of cases, school-wise, at best, you learn conformity. And I think that is kind of the goal of it, more than giving you a useful foundation for, life and skills. Again, being somebody who did jive with school and really put in the effort, I did not know how to handle my finances. I didn't understand taxes to any degree at all.
That's a good
I could
point.
derive the shit out of a formula for calculus, but could I do anything in terms of getting a job different? Nah, I flipped burgers at McDonald's until I was a year into college.
That's interesting.
Shut up, Google.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because even while you're in the middle of learning all this stuff, and it's like you're grinding it out with the rest of us. You're not.
Oh yeah, I've stumbled in every real adult way at least several times. I've effed up with like rent and leases I've signed, my car and maintenance on that. I was abysmal. I had to learn by fixing things that were broken with, that hard-earned little money that I had.
Yeah.
Rather than being preemptive or being really able to handle it myself to any degree. And to be fair, credit where it's due, there are a lot of schools, and maybe more so individual teachers, that have the right kind of idea in mind, and they're really trying to put good skills in and helpful knowledge. And my youngest brother's high school has a whole mechanic program, and they like rebuilt the engine in a car to get like
That's cool.
that's super applicable.
Yeah.
Trade schools for that reason also. And I'm ashamed to say when I was in high school, I maybe not looked down on, but definitely was like, oh yeah, trade school is the not school option, the sub school or whatever. And that's not the case. First off, tradesmen make way more money than almost any of the college grads that I know.
Wow.
On the first, I mean, be an electrician and you will make six figures.
Sure.
There's going to be a huge shortage, I'm hearing, in the next 5-10 years. Value of electrician training is going way up.
Wow.
Mechanics, if you're able to fix a car, that is always a skill set.
Yes.
Tesla might be trying to get rid of that, but for the time being and for the foreseeable future, internal combustion engines
Tesla and a lot
are
of
important.
politicians. They seem like they're trying to get they're pushing toward doing more electric cars and maybe
which I like.
mandating it.
A downside, I definitely think, is that it's all getting so computerized that no regular person can do the maintenance or fix the
Yeah.
car themselves, and you end
Yeah.
up having to go to specialists, and it's more expensive.
You're now going to Apple to get your car fixed.
Yeah, basically. Soon enough, right? Apple's
Yeah.
coming out with a car of their own.
Oh, that's crazy.
The Apple car, right? Yeah. Everybody needed AirPods. Now everybody's going to need an Apple car.
I wonder if they'll spell it with like the Beatles,
The iCar?
Apple Core. They'll spell it with like an S or something.
Something
end.
close. Not ripped off, but their own in an artistic take on it. Yeah.
It'll be car with a silent E at the end.
The car. Some accent hidden in
Yeah.
there. I bet it's the iCar.
It'll-
It's got to be, right? They got to keep the branding.
Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they?
God damn them in their chokehold.
And then they can literally just name each one the iCar 2, iCar 3, iCar 4.
iCar S, iCar. We just see the exact same iPhone naming convention.
Exactly.
Yeah. On the flip side,
And the
I am-
chargers for those will break all the time and fucking same bullshit. They'll be inadequate.
there won't be any aux ports.
Yeah.
I'm still salty about that. I'm still pissed because I can't charge my car and play aux in the car. I mean, charge my car. I have definitely not an electric car. I can't charge my phone and play music at the same time because now no phones have freaking aux ports.
Why would they do that?
I don't know.
Bluetooth?
Yeah, Bluetooth is the new thing, and as of, I don't know, 2-3 years, I mean, Apple, I forget when, a couple years ago, they phased it out, but now every other phone company is following too. And I'm sad about it because I still have headphones with a 3.5 millimeter jack, and I have no complaints with it. And they just had to be trendsetters and had to do things the Apple way, and now we all have to pay the price.
It's control.
Yeah, it is. Hard pivot, but have you seen anything in the news or heard about this whole Apple versus Epic lawsuit that's going on?
No.
Epic is the maker of Fortnite and a bunch of other games, and
Okay.
now that's a super empire itself. But because Apple's App Store is the only thing you can use to put apps on an iPhone,
Yeah.
and Apple takes like a 30% cut from any app purchase you make, Epic is bringing up a big ass lawsuit against them, saying that this is monopoly shit. And I kind of agree. But the fun part about it is that in the proceedings of this massive legal battle with hundreds of millions on the line, so much dirty laundry is being aired by Apple. Like I think there was a big leak, I forget when, but this was maybe even a decade ago, where like more than 100 million iPhones' data had been vulnerable and obtained by some third-party hack, and Apple just didn't tell anyone. And that how
they knew about it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And how, like, there have been pushes within Apple, memos that have now been exposed of, like, hey, we could partner with this or open up the software this way. And then there's, like, Tim Cook's CEO letters back that, like, this will hurt our profits. We will not do it. Just, like, so many shitty practices are being brought into the light.
Yikes.
And ha ha ha, Apple. Not that it'll bring them to their knees, of course.
No,
Damn,
it's-
Steve
it's
Jobs and
like-
his vision. I'm, if you couldn't tell, I'm kind of anti-Apple, so I've been enjoying the legal proceedings from that perspective.
Do you still use their phones and whatnot? Do you?
Nope.
Oh,
I had an
okay.
iPhone once in high school. That was the first smartphone I got when I was like a senior in high school.
Yeah.
And I used it into the ground and then went to Android and have not regretted it.
I actually like Android better. I use my mom hasn't had. I don't know if she has it anymore, but she had one that she even to this day she's like, I loved it and blah, 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 I want
Apple?
another one. Yeah. She
People
likes
do.
it. And I used it like a few times, man, to make a couple calls, and I just like I couldn't figure it out. The it was just weird.
It feels so different from same with Macs. You're like, can this do everything a regular computer can? It just feels weird. And yeah, it can. But I don't like it. It feels
the
like they went for
setup is
design.
Strange.
It feels like they went for prettiness and design over functionality and power.
Right. I actually like the just the display on Windows. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? It's so simple.
Feels like I can find everything I need. I don't have to dig through all of this Apple-owned proprietary crap.
Yeah, and it's hard enough for somebody like me because I don't know anything about the computer, and I had to open it, and I had to basically like you were saying earlier, like I had to go on YouTube to figure that shit out. You know,
On the bright side, there's YouTube.
Sure.
God bless YouTube, man. Until maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, so well into my 20s, had only ever used YouTube for music. And then, wow, what a world opened up when I realized how much entertainment is on there. Personally, I like to gravitate towards like the Kurzgesagt and the educational entertainment on YouTube.
Yes.
The engineering channels like Colin Furze, Smarter Every Day, Hacksmith.
Oh, you know what? That first word you used there.
Colin Furze?
No, the
Kurzgesagt.
Yeah, that awesome German word.
Short stories. That's what it means.
Isn't that the one that they have like these
Cute little birds?
I don't know. I know I've watched it.
They're fantastic. Dig through them for sure because they cover everything from all like scientific, but a lot of it is space and astrological stuff. A lot of it is nuclear energy and vaccination science. They cover both sides, which is nice for divisive issues like 3 reasons why marijuana should be legal, 3 reasons why marijuana should be illegal, 2 separate videos. Vaccines, both sides, nuclear energy, good and bad. And they do a really good job of citing all of their sources. They're partnered with like research institutions around the world now. So if you want good, accurate knowledge, that's a fun and pleasant way to digest it.
Yeah,
highly recommend.
I really like stuff like that. I was talking to you earlier about the Crystal Quentin Sagar.
Yes. The Hill, right?
The Hill,
That's their show.
yep. I love that show because it's both, you get both sides. Like obviously they're friends. Obviously they're gonna be more agreeable with each other because they know each other. You know what I mean? They're gonna know what buttons not to push to make the other one go, fuck you. And nobody wants to do that with their buddy. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to be like, angry with their friend and shit,
Yeah, that's a more positive dynamic.
Yeah. And but it seems like it's just better
when you share or approach both sides of it all.
Yes.
I agree.
It's so much more productive when you can hear both sides. And the thing I hate the most when I'm trying to have a conversation with somebody, because I really like to have those discussions of like trying to figure something out. Because if I'm confused about something, or you think I'm confused about something, and I think I'm right about it, tell me why I'm confused about it.
A conversation's the best way to address that.
Yeah, like let's figure it out. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't mind being wrong. That's fine. If I learn something, I'm happy because it makes me a better person.
That is huge. And a good example of a value that I do not believe is explicitly taught in schools.
That's important. And I think the people that do stumble into that information are fortunate. And I think it's becoming more available because of YouTube and things like that. And I think that's another great thing about it because like I would have no idea who a lot of these people are. Like I would never have heard of I knew who Joe Rogan was and stuff like that.
That's an easy one to hear about. He's in the zeitgeist.
But I was a fan of Fear Factor and stuff like that when I was a kid. And I loved UFC and stuff like that. So it's like, I'm not the biggest follower of the UFC, but I
appreciate it as a
love
sport.
watching the fights. You know what I mean? It's awesome. Especially when they do the jiu-jitsu in it now and stuff. Like I get to, when I see something that I actually have, when I see something that I've seen in class or that I can actually execute, it's like, that's awesome.
Sick.
I get excited about it. I like listening to probably a lot of people have different opinions on him because he's abrasive, but Kurt Osiander,
I have not heard of him.
Oh, he's awesome, dude. You got to
paint the picture. Is he politics or martial arts?
No, he's a jiu-jitsu coach. I think he fought. He did fight, but I don't know if he fought in the UFC or if he fought for like
One
or
FC or
something.
Bellator or something. Yeah.
I'm not sure what place he place
where
he
he
fought
competed,
for.
yeah.
But he did fight professionally. But he's like this just kind of metal dude, you know what I mean? And that's why I
Right
like
up your
him. 'Cause
alley.
and he's just like this fucking hard charging, Viking type of motherfucker. He's
Heard of a few.
yeah, and but he's I can't remember what I was gonna say originally about him, but he's
Abrasive.
he's
I think you said.
he's good to listen to because it's well, how did we get on that subject? We were talking about
The beauty of having both sides of a given issue or topic. We went from the Hill, Sagar and
Yeah.
Crystal, around to who even knows? Do we need to trace it
who
back?
even knows, dude. But yeah, like I actually I don't know. I poke around on the internet and I watch all these fucking videos.
I can do you one abrasive better. Not to one up at all.
Yeah.
Not a lot of pet peeves that I have, but people who straight up like one up, that bugs me. Because let people have their moment. You don't need to just chime in with your relatable or tangential thing all the time. And hopefully I'm not doing this all the time. But on the topic of abrasive personalities that are fun to listen to, this might be one of the spiciest things I've said on the podcast, but dude, it is hysterical to listen to Alex Jones.
It is, though. It really is.
And to his credit, don't worry, people, there's discredit coming as well. To his credit, he gets a surprising amount of shit right, at least in the spirit, like 80% right. He comes out years ago screaming, "They're turning the frogs gay." And not correct, but years later, environmental and ecological scientists have been publishing reports that chemical runoff and toxic runoff from all of our plastic plants and shit are causing huge issues in amphibian populations because the way that a lot of these species work is the way they differentiate into male from female or vice versa. Their hormones are getting fucked up by these byproducts and they're causing like hermaphroditic frogs and sterile frogs. So they're not turning the frogs gay, but it is interfering with the hormonal balance and like their reproductive organs and ability to do so.
That's just a lot for Alex Jones to say.
And he's not going to hash his way through the correct details.
Hermaphroditic! Like, he's not going to do that.
Exactly. And like,
he's got to have a lot of coffee. That's all I'm saying.
Do I think that people are drinking baby blood? No. Do I think that there are like what is it? Why am I blanking? What's this weird gathering? Something Woods? Whatever, you know what I'm talking about.
Bohemian Grove.
Bohemian Grove, yes.
I watched that entire special.
There you go. Like, are there actual secretive gatherings of very wealthy people and politicians? Yeah. You know where evidence we got of that years later? All of the photographs of people with fucking Epstein.
Did you see the special that he put out about that?
Not yet.
Dude,
I've heard of it.
Gold.
And
I thought I was going to be a genius and write a song about Bohemian Grove. When I was like 19, I was like, I'm going to fucking learn that's how I write. I'm just a weirdo. I fucking learn all about this weird subject and I'm like, I'm going to write some dark shit about this, And I was watching that fucking, and I could not stop laughing because he was just so freaked out by the whole thing. And I'm like, dude, you asked for it. You bought the ticket.
And now for the discredit, because disclaimers are important, he has a tendency to jump way too hard in on things that he hasn't yet dug into. For example, the most glaring one, when he was sharing shit about the conspiracies that the Sandy Hook parents might have been tragedy actors or whatever, trauma actors, something like that.
Yeah.
Definitely incorrect. Definitely hurtful. Definitely wrong. Definitely did damage. I am not saying Alex Jones does not make mistakes. That's hugely wrong and hugely problematic. But some of the things, not that one, that he has called out or pointed out were then years later proven correct. He was yelling shit about the lab leak Wuhan theory in, late 2019, early 2020, and that was a huge no-no, especially because Trump echoed it, so that becomes an instant off-limits topic. Now, 16 months later, more and more scientists, the government's administration, everything is starting to push that we need to investigate this lab leak theory. My point is not that Alex Jones is a good human, but he is A, extremely entertaining, and B, surprisingly correct with some of the shit he calls.
That's fair.
And that's all I'm saying. And I to bring it back to the, I think, value of hearing both sides, I feel more, maybe qualified is the word. I feel like it's more reasonable for me to say this guy does damage and causes real issues, because on the flip side, I can recognize that there are things he's been not wrong about. Same thing when you didn't see anyone able to do this with Trump. Horrible president, horrible representative of the American people and system and republic, definitely did damage, definitely incited violence. I do not support President Trump. There were individual actions that he took throughout his presidency in the hundreds and thousands of things that he did over those 4 years. Some of those individual things were not the wrong choice for the given situation. Should he have bombed the Iranian general? Probably not. Was he maybe correct in some of his crackdowns on the Chinese government import-wise? I don't know the economics of it to say that he did it correctly, but I think that it is probably good to take a stronger stance against the Chinese government in some of the, humanitarian crises that they're initiating and propagating. They're exterminating the Uyghur Muslims, and that's not cool.
Right.
I'm not saying that Trump handled it well, but I'm saying he was anti-China government in some of those regards, and that I can recognize as saying, okay, that's not terrible. I have a lot of friends in the military. My younger brother's a Marine. There were aspects of the way Trump handled the military, whether or not you are pro-war, which I am not. I think we should stop with these interventionist wars that we really shouldn't be involved in. But there were aspects that he did that did make it safer for military service members. And as somebody whose grandpa, great uncle, dad, and brother are service members or former service members, I appreciate that there was a greater degree of safety and efficacy in our armed forces. Tons of shit he did wrong as well. But if I feel better about saying this man was bad if you recognize the individual nuggets of correct. Like, nobody is 100% wrong in all things all the time. It's impossible with how complicated people are and with how much gray area there is in all of these political issues. If you are able to hear one side and recognize the, however small, things that were correct or had value, and then you dismiss, or not dismiss, but you argue against, you make a case against the rest of it, I feel that you are a more reputable source. And I think that that is what Sagar and Crystal are excellent at. They recognize what is good about the other side that they disagree with, or what was not a terrible idea, and that gives them more credibility, I think, to counter it with their own arguments and viewpoints. And these are just examples. Alex Jones and Donald Trump are not people that I think are, bastions of truth, light, or anything of the means. But if you offhand dismiss anyone at all as completely evil spawn of Satan, then clearly you aren't listening to everything. And I don't know, life is complicated. There's more to it than that, right?
Yeah, and the funny thing about everything you just said is it relates to something I wrote down earlier, which was I was watching something with just about Beyond Good and Evil. I was actually looking for a talking point on cadence, because as I was flipping through the first few pages of that book, I was reading something about like how your tone and cadence and how you speak can really change people's perception. You don't have to say the right things. You just have to say it the right way.
Excellent application to both Trump and Jones.
Yeah.
They say things fast, loud, and confidently, and that gets a lot of people to agree with things that are not correct.
And even just, I honestly don't think Alex Jones is going out there thinking he's lying. I think he believes the shit that he's saying.
Also true. I don't think he intends to do harm, but I do think a byproduct of his wildness is that sometimes harm happens.
Correct.
Like in the
it's
Sandy Hook
like
case.
a wild animal. You know what I mean? That thing might not mean to hurt something, but it's, if you've got a bull in
wild animal's a pretty good description of that man.
He's like a bull in a china shop, but he's a bull that's in his own, probably, maybe, I don't know, and I think when I watch him, I think he's actually somebody that's searching for truth, you know what I mean, in his own way. he misses the mark a lot. But it's because he's got that wild mentality. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like that happens with people that most people that are like wild like that, they like a lot of the time, like look at some of the best musicians in the world are like wild people, man. And you're like, but there's a genius in there, bro. There's something fucking special in there because that guy can play the drums like nobody's ever played the drums before. You know what I mean? But he's throwing he's got an alligator in the bathtub and he just threw a fucking vase out the window into a swimming pool. You know what I mean? It's crazy people, but they're also, you know, they're Mozarts of
whatever their
rock and
field
roll
of
or whatever the
expertise,
hell
yeah.
they're playing, you know?
Is Motley Crue a good example of that? Because I feel like I've heard the most stories about them as being incredible musicians.
I suppose well then
but nuts out the fucking wazoo.
I don't know about their musicianship. I just saw a hilarious video, and you know what? Like Motley Crue's a great band. I'm not saying anything, you know, about them, but I saw a fucking hilarious video the other day that my brother sent me, and it was called Vince Neil is Fat Elvis.
I'm sure there's a case to be made there. Yeah, there you go. Elvis. He did some sketchy shit. He had like a 15-year-old bride.
Dude, there's a lot of crazy rock and roll stories. I think Led Zeppelin, there's a song that Frank Zappa wrote called something like the story of the mud shark or the legend of the mud shark.
Oh boy.
Or something. Yeah, and it's about the Led Zeppelin crew. Now, story goes, it wasn't Led Zeppelin, allegedly.
So different band, but they wrote the song about it.
Yeah, so it was like all of the guys were hanging in this place, and I don't know all the details, but all I know is that at the end of the day, somebody got fucked with a shark, with a baby shark.
Holy!
It wasn't a full blown shark. It was like a baby shark.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah,
beyond.
and it was live.
That scares me for the shark, for the person getting fucked by the shark.
But it was a willing participant. It was a willing girl.
People do wild shit.
She wanted to do it. Apparently, allegedly.
I hope consent was there.
I hope so. That seems like something that seems like a nightmare of an activity to be forced through.
That seems like a nightmare of an activity to willingly participate in.
Yeah, that's man.
People are into some wild stuff. I do not condone the endangerment of animals, but
those were the experimental days. Those were the days when they were fucking doing acid and shit, you know. They were like, "Hey, man."
And as we all know, no musician does acid now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
that's probably true.
I think that's probably listen, I am not always a fan of the why of cancel, but there is some positivity to, you know, things coming to light. For example, fuck Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
I think that there's some very,
Fucking
very,
dude.
very appropriate examples of cancel culture. And I think one of the positive side effects of the chance that people get canceled is that hopefully it keeps some of these wild, wild fuckers a little more in the lines. Like
Yes.
the fear now that things can end up on the internet instantly from anyone at any time. For example, that teenage girl that recorded the video of George Floyd. Hopefully, the hope is that shit like this prevents police brutality and things like that from happening.
Right.
Hopefully that applies to the wild antics of rock and roll musicians as well. Because yeah, there's sketchy stories from 80s and 90s and all those wild bands.
I mean, but in all fairness, that is written in a book, I think.
The Mud Shark?
Yeah. It's like, it's not a secret. Everybody knows about it. And it's like fucking, Frank Zappa wrote a fucking song about it,
sounds
dude.
like it's become a legend.
It is a legend. And the girl, like, I think the girl that actually it happened to was like on camera and shit saying that, like, no, it was like, no, it was a kid. It was
It's like
stupid.
the newest Dave Portnoy sex tape. That horrific looking.
I don't even know anything about that, but.
We got a collar and a leash and a foot on a head, and it just does not look pleasant. And then afterwards, yeah, I think she's a pornographic actress, professional. But whoever.
So it was like
she
Tuesday for her. She was like, yeah, fuck it, whatever, dude.
Whatever
At
it
least
is.
it's only one leash.
Yikes.
There's only one dude pulling it in one direction.
That's one way to look at it. But yeah, she came out afterwards and was like, that was completely consensual. That's what I was into and there for.
Rad.
You know what? Great. If
Good for
everyone in the
you.
party is a willing participant, do you.
She's like, you guys are mad at a leash. Somebody spit in my mouth the other day, and I didn't
yeah,
even ask for
that was
it.
part of the video too. But she, I guess,
Get the
also
fuck out of here,
part of
really?
consent. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's fucking gross, dude.
The mud shark's fine, but spitting? Oh, God.
I'm cool with this
That's
shark
depravity.
thing, but dude, that's gross. It's
Yeah.
COVID and shit. Ugh. Fucking nasty.
Yeah. That's beyond it for me. I'm not a fan of that. Although, you want to hear an embarrassing throwback to high school joke?
Sure.
Well, not joke, story. Listen, you
Knock,
look back
knock.
and cringe, it means you've grown. I love that line. Whatever high school locker room football shit, this is much less shitty than it sounds. No mud shark, no crazy spit in mouth things.
Not this story.
But tangentially related, I guess. In whatever dumb goofing around as I wish I could remember the context, because honestly it was within a group of guys on the team that I was friends with. But one of the kids was like, it sounds terrible when you lay things out without the context of being there, but whatever light bullying was in good spirit at the time.
Yep.
Was one of my teammates was like on the ground and someone was like, it could have been literally like 7 of the dudes were like tickling him and keeping him on the ground or some dumb shit like that. But
It's
as we
fucking
were
horrendous.
right, but as we were all like, ha ha ha, like I don't fucking remember. Let's say tickling. Everyone's like yelling dumb shit out, and I have no idea where this came from, but our practice jerseys were kind of short. So I think he's still wearing pads and jersey, but you can see like midriff on everyone. And he's on the ground, and everyone, including him, is like hysterically laughing, whatever the case is. And I'm like, ha, spit in his belly button. And
No.
dude,
Why?
hold that mic closer to your mouth as you. No idea. At the time, I don't think I was on the internet in dirty corners. I don't think I saw that anywhere. It was certainly nothing that I was to any degree involved in or interested in.
Yeah.
But I thought in the moment, carried away, that would be funny. And everyone stopped and everyone looked at me. They're like,
They were just
"What
like,
the fuck did you
dude,
just say?"
who raised you?
And in a moment, we all went from roasting my teammate who was like getting tickled on the ground or whatever the shit was to roasting me. And like, I mean, for days, for weeks, like that didn't get dropped. Rightfully so. What the fuck was I thinking?
It went from we're going to tickle this guy until he pisses his pants to, dude, he's into really weird shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no, and you can't, like, what are you going to do as a fucking high school kid, as a 15-year-old? Like, no, I didn't mean it.
I
Yeah,
would've
like
laughed.
everyone listens to that.
I would have laughed so fucking hard.
In hindsight, I laughed, but at the fucking moment, what the fuck was I thinking?
It's the funniest fucking thing in the world, though.
Yeah, I told you I was a loser in high school. I clearly did not understand practical jokes.
Just socially, like,
I missed the mark, yeah.
yeah. I still do that, though. It's fine. All of my joke, like literally fucking, I'd say a good 89% of the jokes I fucking throw out there just don't land. And in my head, they're like, I'm like, this is gonna be the one that fucking sets everything. Everybody's gonna die laughing at this one, man. And then I fucking let it loose, and everybody in the room's just like, dude, there's something fucking wrong with you.
I had high hopes for that one.
Yeah.
Thought it had legs. Did not go. Yeah. But hey, that's how you learn what is funny, right?
That's
You
that's
stumble.
true. Or you learn that you're not funny.
Yeah, either way.
You know, you just gotta fucking, hey, man, you gotta throw shit at the wall.
This is lame, but to make one quick comment and address it. That kid that we were tickling was absolutely one of the dudes who was regularly like the fun bullying. Like he also gave shit more often than he got it. I caught shit more than maybe anyone in that group. So like this was not bullying. That's still a friend group back in my hometown. And when I went back for, I don't know, on Thanksgiving break, like a couple years ago at the end of college, it was the same squad of dudes, like those dudes, including, let's call him Floor Boy, out at the bar. Like that was, listen, bullying is real and is a problem, but that was not. And I think I've talked about that on the podcast before, that my high school, I think, was pretty good as far as the whole bullying thing goes. There were not a lot of instances of real bullying. Couple of fights, but it was like between kids that would have both been considered bullies. It wasn't ever like, you know, the down and out or the shunned kid getting beat up. I don't think I saw that type of shit even once. So while I do talk shit about my high school, I commend them for that. There was a very positive culture in that regard. And one more caveat, because I'm now worried about covering my ass now that I am prospectively in medical school. I do not advocate for Donald Trump. I feel like if I say things positive about that man in some way, it can come back and get blown out and I'll get hit with cancel culture. And that is not what I mean to say. And same thing with Alex Jones. I'm not condoning the things that he said that were wildly off or the things that were in any way hurtful to anyone, of which there have been many instances. My point there is just that I think it is very important to give people the due process of hearing them out. Just like in the justice system, you do not condemn someone without them getting a chance to speak at their trial. I think that you should hear what someone has to say, because then if you have heard their position and their argument or their side of things, and you still think it's dumb as shit, you are better equipped to make that case. And yeah, it feels small-minded to dismiss anyone out of hand. You have to have, there should be logic and reason behind something like that. Both of those people, I understand why people cancel, and I definitely get that. But I agree, at least, I don't think, at least on Jones's part, that it is a deliberate intent to do bad. I don't think it's deliberate. I think it does hurt people. I don't think he intends to. I don't think. I could be wrong. Trump, on the other hand, I'm not so certain. That dude might just be a megalomaniac that wants to pump himself up at whatever the cost. We don't have to stay on the topic of either of them. I just wanted to give this caveat because, listen, it does not reflect my views.
Because honestly, there's certain minds out there that when I hear them speak, it's a brilliant person to me. And it sucks that those people have to fucking censor themselves at such a high level, and they have to be so careful about what they say instead of just because those people could have some wonderful ideas that other people could hear, and they can't. They're afraid that anything that they say could turn into something that people use against them, and it ruins their entire life. For the rest of their life, now they can't do something. That just seems very fucked up to me in a free country.
That's the side of cancel culture that I very much don't like. And again, I think it's different if somebody makes their case and you let them speak and you hear that out and it is dumb as shit and they shouldn't be speaking in a public forum. That's one thing. But the taking one thing and making it a person's entire identity or not allowing any chance for growth and the betterment of that person to acknowledge their mistakes and move forward in life. Yeah. That's small.
If you're a rapist or something, you deserve to have that as your personality.
Yeah, fuck that dude.
Yeah, fuck you. You've made your personality that because you did that. That's your fault.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't I guess there are cases where I don't extend it.
If you're weird argument that
if you're a proven pedophile, like that, I don't fuck with you.
I heard some weird argument about if people are made like that, they can't help it. Well, fucking fix it. That ain't my problem. Not to be fucking frank, but
there are rules with society that you really need to adhere by so that it is safe and productive for everyone else as well. If you cannot keep yourself from that type of behavior, build a cabin in Alaska. Remove yourself from the risk of doing that type of thing.
If you cannot remove yourself, we should be able to remove you.
Listen, I don't think prisons are a bad thing.
No.
I think that we overuse them in America.
Certainly.
But I do think that there are absolutely cases where...
I think for a dude that has never done a crime in his life and he just fucking is a loser dad... and he doesn't pay child support, you put that guy in with people that are actually gangbanging and actually selling drugs and actually beating the shit out of each other. Never mind in jail, but on the streets, they're kicking the shit out of each other and shooting at each other.
That's a mismatch.
Yeah, because it's not like you're in county jail. It's not fucking everybody goes. It's not fucking they're not just sticking one group of people
jail
there.
Before prison, right? Is that the flow of it? I'm actually a little... jail is where you are held, or
basically
before trial?
I think it's, and I'm not an expert on this either. I've never been to jail, so I'm not fucking speaking.
Cheers to that.
I may be speaking out of turn here, but I might from what I know, it's that you go to county if you do like a small misdemeanor crime.
It's like
or,
short-term things. Prison is like you've been convicted and you have years.
Yeah,
that you're
I
serving.
think it's like 1 to 5 years or something. You'll do time in county jail or something like that, a smaller facility, and then if you get
a serious
like
charge, yeah,
if you're doing like a bigger amount of time, they're not. It's like it's really just politics and money. I think when it comes down to it, it'll cost
a lot of it's politics, man. There's some terrible trends in our prison system. We need reform there for sure. You know, it's nuts. We have, I think it's, I hope I get the math right, something like 4% of the world's population, right? No, maybe more than that. We've got, I don't know, let's say 6-7%. We have a quarter of the imprisoned people in the world are Americans imprisoned within America. Of all the people in the world who are in jail or prison, 24% of them are in American prisons. How are we the land of the free with that skewed of a balance?
But my question with that, and I'm not on a side with this. I don't know enough about it to have a side. I know what I hear.
Kudos to you for starting with, this is not something I'm an expert on.
I just know what I hear. You know what I mean? Like this
Fair.
is actually a conversation I like to have, but I don't know much about it. But my thought on that is like, is it maybe because we are a freer land,
to do stuff?
like we can, you know what I mean? We have a little bit more rope to hang ourselves, so we sometimes use that rope the wrong way. And
I think that certainly accounts for a percentage of the imprisoned things, but there are, at this point, I think pretty indisputably, there are some really fucked up laws, like the 1994 crime bill, of which Biden was a primary proponent. There's some definite shady shit, and a lot of it is because we have private prisons, so you can make money off of people being in your jail, and because you can have them do labor, like what's the running joke that you even saw in cartoons, like pressing license plates?
Yeah.
Exactly. Highway cleanup, shit like that.
I used to get my glasses from a prison.
There you go.
Yeah, because they were paid for by insurance, and the lady would actually, she told us, like,
that's nifty.
Yeah,
but the downside.
Thank you to whoever made those. That was rad.
But the downside of that is that means that there is an impetus for these business owners who run prisons to have more people in prison for longer because they're doing work at the equivalent of like $1.70 an hour.
Right.
It's effectively slave labor. So and that is, of course, there are people who deserve to be in prison for sure.
Yep.
But a reason that it is so grossly inflated in the country is because money is tied to it.
Also, what are the odds? I don't know.
There's also some really, truthfully, like racist laws that have been put in, and that's like, unfortunately, a straight fact. Not our proudest moment as America to have this type of issue systemic, but hopefully that type of shit is, I mean, I think it's becoming more present in the zeitgeist, and people are starting to work to address it.
There's such an unfortunate, or I don't know how to word it right, but it's just it's so weird, like listening to people talking about the state of the like police and stuff like that, and like just the way people take such hard opinions on things it's really. It's tough to hear to me because I know a lot of people that are like police officers, and I know a lot of people that were in the military, and I know a lot of people that like they really loved their job. You know what I mean? And they were not people
who got into it for the abusing of power. They were into it to make their community safer.
Right. I mean, like we train with guys, man. That
a lot of jiu-jitsu guys overlaps with cops, which is nice because that gives you the type of skills to do, non-lethal like de-escalation of stuff. If you know how to safely control someone else's body, I think that's great.
And there's not a single person that I've ran into that was a police officer or anything military. Like those are actually the guys that I learn a lot from because they're so good at fucking instructing people. They've gone through so much instruction in their life that they're good at showing people what to do.
There's absolutely positives, and there are also bad apples.
Of course.
It's a huge country, man, with a huge diversity
and it's
of
pretty
people
open.
And
like I said, we have that amount of freedom to where like basically any Joe can walk in and take a test and at least attempt to be a police officer. Everybody can go try out,
Are there barriers and stigmas and biases that skew and prevent it? Probably, but at least in principle, yeah, it's supposed to be open like that. I think there are steps we can make to improve those things for sure, but I also think you need cops. We could definitely do with better cops, but that's better training, that's better awareness, that's better education, that's better communication, that's talking, conversing, and proactive working to improve our country and our community at every level. You need cops. You can't have none. It didn't work well with the Chaz autonomous zone in Seattle or wherever that was.
That was dumb as shit.
It didn't work, and they had people die like pretty rapidly, and crime shot through the roof, and that's not what you want. Obviously, you don't want police brutality. It's horrible, and we need to address that.
Yeah,
but you don't want no cops. You want good cops.
Correct.
You want supported, engaged with the community, good cops.
Trained.
And I hope that the trend is towards that. I think over the last year and a half especially, there's been enough things brought to the forefront that this is now a real national movement to try and improve these things. I want everybody to be safer and to feel safer. I was raised, if you're lost, find a police officer. And that's not the reality for a lot of Americans. It's if you see a cop, get away from them because there's a good chance that they're going to target you. And that's horrible that it's true. I want to see that change, but the way that you do that is definitely not by abolishing police forces.
You got to change the way people think.
It's a messy problem, and it's going to take generations, but that's why we need everybody bought into it.
So I remember having conversations with my mom, because she was raising two boys. You know what I mean? And it was like she had to tell us and we were in the city. We grew up in the city, so it's she was telling us essentially that we had to follow the damn directions. If we get pulled over with somebody, if we get if they tell you to stop and put your hands up, do it. You know what I mean? Because she's like, I don't want to see something happen because you're not using your head. That was essentially the way she put it. And I don't know if whatever, it wasn't, I don't know if that's politically correct or whatever, but it's that's the truth of the matter is to me, it's if that's what I would tell my kids.
And ideally that is correct and fits for everyone. But I think one of the things we've seen with a lot of the videos that have come out in the last year or two is that is unfortunately when things like that happen, it isn't always a good outcome. I've seen video. I wish that I remembered the poor kid's name, but a black teenager who the transcript came out and he's saying the whole time, I saw the video in the transcript, his hands are up. I'm sorry. I stopped. And you guys are great at your job. Wow, you're so strong. I'm not doing anything. I'm a good kid. He was a quiet, shut-in kid. And it was a straight up horrific act of police brutality. And
that's fucked up.
Exactly. And it's terrible that happens.
Yeah.
I want to live in a world where...
At the same time, how the fuck do you stop that? Because that's clearly... That's
bad people who have a badge.
That have bad intention. How do you stop that? Because if there's somebody that bad, bro,
answer, man.
They're not out there bad all the time. Because you know what I mean? I heard Tim Kennedy say once, wolves don't they're not going to fucking prey on other wolves because they know they'll get eaten alive.
These are weak people who like to abuse their power.
They're people that... Yeah.
And it's a country of 330 million. There's a lot of shitty people, and some portion of them are cops or in the military or whatever. My best guess, and god damn, I'm not the expert, I hope we have experts working on it, is more stringent psychological evaluations, better vetting systems for police, more training, honestly. It's great that they get the training they do, but it's probably not enough. And one of the best ideas I've heard was Jocko Willink, former Navy SEAL.
Saying everybody should do jiu-jitsu.
Well, that's one half of it. Yeah, everyone should be... I think Andrew Yang was saying everyone should have a purple belt that's a cop. Ambitious.
But that's not realistic.
Ambitious.
We both know that's not realistic. If you want to be a cop, put in fucking 8 years of training. Yeah, okay.
But doing jiu-jitsu, great for the actual skills of that. But Jocko's point was that at least 20% of their time, 1 out of 5 days a week, should just be training, continuing training. And I think that's great. When you're a doctor, there's continuing education that you have to do. When you're a teacher, you have to pass continuing education marks. I think that continuing education and constant training to keep up with those skills and to improve constantly with what we know works and what is the best research on de-escalation and non-lethal everything, keep training it. And the sad part is that means more money, which a lot of people are very opposed to. But God, I would love to live in a country and a world where everyone knows, and it is the truth, that the cops are there to protect and serve. I want that to be the truth so badly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a messy situation, and it is definitely skewed and biased and bad. My hope is that we're working upwards. I want it should be an upward trend. I hope so.
I think as I look deeper into it, again, it's like it's one of these issues where I don't know enough about it to like have super strong opinions and stuff like this, but I look deeper into it and I start thinking that there's more issues with the laws. There's like a lot
of that, definitely.
You know what
like
I mean?
The crime
like,
bill, for example.
Because what you were saying before, I tend to think that there's more as far as like those really bad incidents. Those things are those are tragedies first of all, and it's like that should never happen. But I think those are like that's bad people. And I think that the bad laws are way worse than some of the bad people, because the bad laws that are in place, well, they're not way worse than the bad people, but
both are serious issues to be addressed.
Yeah, really. Like
not just one.
Yeah, I shouldn't be putting one above any. I just think that the issue, like looking at the Massachusetts the firearms laws, it's fucking insane. Some of those laws are insane.
I have no idea. I have never looked into them.
Bro, like, it is insane. It is insane.
In what direction?
In the direction where, like, as far as I know, I'd actually like to talk to somebody about this, but
the cops at jiu-jitsu. That's one side of the argument.
I lost
a skewed perspective, but that is one.
I lost a number that I'm gonna get back because I know Mike has it. that son of a bitch. That lovely son of a bitch. Anyway, what was I saying? Damn it!
Gun laws are insane.
Yeah.
In
So
Massachusetts.
the most insane thing I've run into so far is that like you can have certain things, but they can't be a certain color. And it's like you're like, why?
That's
and they're
a
like,
nitpick.
because I said so. There's no reason. There's no rhyme. It's just you can't have this. And it's like so people think it's like they think it's all about heavy, you know. I know there's a rule that you can't have more than 10 round magazines, something like that. Which that like, yeah, okay, that's fine. That makes sense.
That makes some sense. Yeah. I can get behind that.
I'm perfectly fine with that. You can still protect yourself with that.
If you can't protect yourself from, let's say, worst case, a home invader with 10 rounds, you probably shouldn't be someone with a firearm.
No shit.
Where did those 10 rounds just go?
Yeah, you got to replace a wall, and maybe your neighbor's walls, and maybe one of their family members. Well, you can't replace that. Well,
yeah,
you know,
yikes.
AI's getting better. We can.
Oh.
I don't mean to be dark. I'm just saying it's. Where were we?
Well, I've got one to lighten it up, and I am so sorry, but we are nearing the end of the episode time.
Yeah, that's impossible. That's
impossible. It can't be.
Unfortunate is what I was gonna say. But.
Well, real quick.
Yep.
Are there any points you definitely want to bring up? Because I do have one thing to bring us home on a lighter note. You've got the list. Anything we want to pull up or refer to? What's at the top of it? We can hit up Discord episodes. You can come visit in Austin. We can do more. There will always be time to talk. What else do we need to cover on record? I'm so impressed, by the way, with your reading of Nietzsche. I have been crawling through the book you gave me. That man is a deep intellect, and it is a heavy read.
Okay, this was something that I wanted to. This is what I'll fucking.
Hell yeah!
This is my last hurrah. Hopefully not my last one for this episode.
In this episode,
I wrote this note earlier, just going through some material on YouTube about Nietzsche and about that book that I gave you. Don't follow the herd mentality. Herd mentality promotes sameness, preservation, and comfort. moral code of society has been fabricated by certain individuals and then imposed on others. The strict dogmatic judgment of human behavior can even make some individuals more rebellious. Anybody who stands out too much creates fear and threatens exposing the herd of its shortcomings. They want to limit your individuality and pull you back into the herd. And I thought that was really...
That ties pretty closely to a lot of the things we were talking about, I think.
Yeah.
Don't dogmatically and instantly judge other people. Yeah, I agree with that.
Right. And the next thing that he was saying in that same video was embrace the difficulty of self-discovery, which is what I'm discovering that type of thing right now, where it's like,
critically examine yourself and your beliefs and your opinions.
Not just that, but doing what you want to do sucks for a minute. Like, it really sucks. Like, this has been really hard. Bro, this shit has been it's been difficult to figure out all these different, the interface and the mic setups. Like, there's other people out there that are tech geniuses that can figure that shit out in 5 minutes and look at me like a 5-year-old. They're like, bro, what are you doing with all these wires? You look like an idiot. You know what I mean? But I'm just not set up that way. Mentally, it's taken me forever, and it's been a challenge, and I'm learning. Holy shit! Like, you got to embrace that, because the more you embrace it, the better you're gonna get at it. The more you let it beat you down, it's gonna it's gonna make you stand away from it. You know what I mean? You're gonna be afraid to keep going.
That's
you got to take those chances.
Admirable to push yourself through those hard things, and I think aside from the actual skills you're learning in the pursuit of that, I think that builds character in a very real sense. The ability to pursue something that is difficult and that gives you trouble and to continue working through that is massive. To embrace the suck is such an incredible asset in life.
Yes. Yes. That is, I imagine you heard that from your brother.
Embrace the suck?
Yes, because that my stepfather was actually in the Marine Corps, and he taught me that as a kid. I know, actually, I've heard
variations
Jocko say that before and stuff. But I grew up hearing that, like, embrace the suck. Like, you if you got to sleep in the mud, you got to sleep in the mud.
It's not worth
get used to it.
About
just
it.
Fucking yeah, don't bitch about it. Just sleep in the mud. Embrace the suck, man. Because then tomorrow, when you get to sleep in your bed,
it'll be that
it's
much
gonna
better.
be beautiful, man. You're gonna love it.
Amen. Hell yeah.
You know?
All right, you want to end with a fun one? This is a classic.
Sure.
I think we've hit almost every guest with this at least once. You might know what's coming. It is a would you rather. Dylan.
Uh-oh.
Would you rather have no penises or 5 penises? And if you choose 5, where are you going to put them?
That's a funny end to it, because
I know, big change in tone.
Well, I mean, first of all,
on a light note.
I already know the answer to that. I'd definitely rather have 5, because having none means I don't have one, and I really like the fun that I have with
math.
I like the fun that one is. So having 5 may be 5 times better. It may be.
I like that attitude.
I may have 5. It would suck kind of, because you'd be burdened with hiding
glorious
5
purpose to quote Loki.
No, then you gotta hide 5 boners in the club or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's not cool either. That would kind of suck. Well, hopefully in dime pieces, son. Like, hopefully all 5 of those is ending up in
no, not
5 10s, bro.
That's not
I'm
the
trying
question.
to get 50
on your body. Where are you putting it? That might be the funniest answer we've heard.
But that's
okay. Noted. But where on your body? You have one functional scrotum in the normal spot. The piping's all there wherever you put them.
So now my mind goes to, like, I want to pull, like, magic tricks and shit. I want to be the guy that has one on my foot, and I can like one
Top
of those
of your foot?
like a plate spinner. You know what I mean? Like, you're a bitch spinner. I don't know. Maybe if that's really hard. Actually, that's a tough question, because no pun intended. That's a hard question, because it seems like no matter where you put the other 4, you're in danger of getting hard all the time.
You say other 4, so that means 1 in the standard?
For sure, because I know what I'm doing with that one.
It's a good start.
You know what I mean? Like, well, I won't say that. I'm not putting.
So where are the other 4?
But the other 4, that's a hard question, because, like, if you, like, I'm trying to think of, like, more secluded areas. Like, if you put it under an armpit, pain all the time, especially if they come with a sack too, dude.
Nope, they don't. It's just 5 dicks, 1 functional normal spot scrotum.
That's actually innovative, man, because that's when you think about that, like there's no you have 4 other options.
Sounds like you're stalling. Where are you putting them?
I don't know, bro, because the hard part is where are you going to put them if they like you're going to get hurt all the time.
I mean, those are flexible. Those can take a smushing.
I would say, all right, if you got to live with it, definitely at least one has to be on the palm of your hand so you can fucking smack the shit out of somebody with it if they get out of line. Nobody's going to fuck with the guy with a dick in his palm at the bar. You know what I mean? That sounds way worse than I meant it to sound.
No, that's pretty funny, actually. I like, okay, one in the palm, one in the crotch. Where are the other 3?
Jesus, I don't know. That's just, where do you put 3 other?
I'll give you some help. We've heard armpit. We've heard mohawk. Grow your hair out.
See, I said armpit, but armpit, I feel like anywhere where it's not going to interfere with my guitar playing, I think is cool. Like I put one on my guitar. That'd be kind of rad. It is though, kinda.
You're an artist. Okay, we'll allow it. You get one on the guitar.
I get one on the guitar, and where am I putting it on the guitar though? Like that all depends.
Guitars have necks and bodies, but they don't have crotches.
That's fair. It's all right now. This is getting hairy. I don't know.
Not if you manscape.
Where would you put them? Like, but because like, you can't have just like fucking piece hanging off your chest. Like
you
that's
can in this hypothetical.
Maybe unicorn.
That's been one we've heard also. We've heard bandolier all the way around your waist.
That's interesting. That's also confident. That's very confident.
You can tuck them all into the waistband.
Like a belt.
Like, sure. Like I was thinking down, but I guess you could thread them all clockwise around you. Sure. We've heard
you can't
3
do
in
it
the front, like Predator, how he has that little tri-laser targeting thing in the movie Predator.
Yeah.
We've heard that in the front, so you've got 3 in a triangle.
Okay.
I think someone said down their spine, like Spinosaurus style.
Okay, like a porn star back tattoo,
except with a dick out of your back,
but with dicks.
And not a tattoo.
And they're not tattoos. So it's nothing like that.
Correct.
That was just on my mind for some reason. I don't know.
We've got one on the guitar, one on the palm, one in the crotch. You have 2 more to disperse.
One on the guitar.
No surgeries allowed. You got to keep them. Can't get them removed.
I want to say foot because...
Top of the foot?
Yeah.
That's better than bottom of the foot.
Fucking right it is. I want to be able to wear boots and shit. Like, how do you... That seems dangerous, but I'm going to go with the foot out of just desperation because I don't know where to go with this. And then I suppose...
The other foot?
Maybe the other foot. A hand, a foot on the guitar.
And a dick. That's 5.
And a regular unit piece.
Maybe the most unique spread that we've yet heard.
I'm trying to be creative, man.
Sir. You are an artist, truly.
I don't know about that. But...
Do you have anything you want to plug? YouTube channel, Instagram, anything?
We have
all of.
I'll be probably putting. I don't know if you don't mind. I'll probably throw this up on. We Instagram.
Cross post it. The whole thing on Instagram.
You know what I did? I'm so bad at. I can't. I don't create good things for other people. I am only good at like. Making things I like, and I'm stupid to think that everybody will get it, and I
not everybody will, but some will, and that's all you need.
I made my Instagram profile not thinking I was going to use it, and I ended up fucking calling it parabolacula.
You might want to spell that one.
Yeah, that's the problem. I probably won't even do it right, but I think it's
P-A-R-A
P-A-R-A
B-O-L-A
B-O-L-A
C-U-L-A. That sounds right.
Yeah. I think
like parabola, killa.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Parabolacula.
2021.
Is that in there also? Parabolacula 2021.
And that's because I'm lazy and I won't change it. Now, I will eventually. I'm just trying to get this thing off the ground. I'm trying to work all the bugs out, and that's part of the bugs.
Amen. All right. On that note, thank you for being a guest, and thank you for listening to A Couple of Fellas.